Hey, what's up guys, this is Jay from Sentinel Trading Channel. So welcome to another episode of the Binbot Pro trading software. So the main content of this video is what to avoid when we use the trading software, and also an in-depth description of how to use the Binbot Pro trading software. So of course it is in a way an automatic trading software. However, in any trading software or any trading strategy, you can't use it blindly. If not, it will actually affect our long-term consistency. So a little bit of background. I have been using this software since June 2018. So if you guys want to check out the very first episode on my very first experience with Binbot Pro, in fact I've actually lost quite a bit during my first few try. You guys can check this first video out. Is in the link is in the description. So I found out that in order to achieve some level of consistency, I have got to use my own settings instead of using the top 10 trading robot right here. So the reason is the top 10 trading robot, it changes its behavior quite frequently, so I can't be consistent throughout my trade. So through testing my own settings, I can pinpoint areas of the charts where it has high chance of success. So as a user, I can't expect to turn on Binbot Pro at any second of the day and expect to have long-term consistency. So it is very true for any trading robot or any trading strategy. So one thing user need to be aware of if you guys are not using Binbot Pro yet is that the Binbot Pro trading software executes 7 minutes trade within the next minutes of activation. So by activation, what I mean is when we click the run button. So it will actually execute a 7-minute trade within the next minute. So with a decent settings, for us to get a potentially right trade within the next minute, I find that activating at a certain areas of the market with a strong move towards a certain direction within 7 minutes can increase my chance of success. So hence this is the reason why I choose RSI, which is the relative strength index, as a trigger to turn on the robot. So because it has a high chance that the market price will react strongly towards a direction depending on the market. So these settings will of course decide whether it should go for a reversal trade or a breakout trade. So a breakout trade meaning that it will follow the trend or follow the direction of the trade breakout, or also a reversal trade, which we most likely will trade a opposite direction. So the settings within the Binbot Pro will actually decide which is suitable based on its setting. So I will include some demonstration in the second half of the video that serves as a tutorial video. In fact, for subscribers that already have my guide, we are at PDF v6.5 right now. So it will actually show what I look for within the charts to decide when to turn on the robot, and also how to choose which settings to use. As you can see, I have two different settings for various markets scenario. So but before that, there are also areas of the charts or market situation which I avoid because it decreases the chance of winning a 7 minutes trade. So it could be due to crazy volatility or maybe lack of market movement to hold the market price towards the direction that we choose. For example, a call, so maybe the price goes up and then it goes back down quicker than 7 minutes, so it would actually decrease my chance of winning. So for example, it could be like NFP, non-farm payroll trading day, which usually causes highly volatile price movement or very unpredictable movement. Or it could be a sudden huge breakout where a super large candlestick would just form, and then you actually mess up with the settings decision making. So do check out the next segment as I list a couple of things to avoid in the market situation. So this means that is the situation where I will not actually use the Binbot Pro trading software. So in order to achieve my personal long-term consistency, I find that is situations that I'm going to list in the next few minutes are a situation where I actually decrease the Binbot Pro trading performance. And in order to achieve a more consistent result, I find by simply avoiding this situation, I can actually achieve a better trading results. So do check this next segment out, guys. Alright guys, so let's get into the A few things that I will actually avoid whenever I trade using the Binbot Pro trading software. So the first thing that I will actually avoid is the NFP trading days. NFP stands for the non-farm payroll. So it happens usually on the first Friday of every month. So usually the movement from the market on the day itself, it's a little bit disadvantageous for trading binary options because it tends to be quite unpredictable on its reaction on certain price level, and even though if it reacts, it will be very volatile. So I usually skip the whole of the NFP trading days, and also I would usually skip the first half of Monday every Monday. So the second thing that I would actually avoid is to trade a large candlestick movement. So where, for example, if the current candlestick, the 1 minute candlestick, is 3 times larger than the relative moves of the previous upwards or downward movement, I would actually avoid trading it because it will definitely be increase its volatility, and it's harder for the robot to actually make a decision on a sudden move like that. So please have a look at a certain example on your screen right here. So this usually causes a massive ATR, average true range jump, where usually if it's in within the colored line zone, it will skip from one zone, say for example from the red blue zone, all the way up to the blue yellow zone. So if you see that the ATR jump is equivalent to one zone, I would recommend not trading it if the jump happens all within 1 minute. So this is usually caused by a extremely large 1 minute candlesticks movement. So okay, so and the third thing that I would avoid is to take more than one trade in a trend move. So for example, if the price is moving on a downtrend, so this typically causes the RSI to go below 25. So if the RSI goes below 25, go outside the channel, and then it goes back in, and then it will go below 25 again. So I usually say, for example, in a complete movement, it might touch below 25 3 times within, say, in a span of 30 minutes. So I would actually avoid taking more than one trade per this trend move. So if for beginner, if you guys do not understand what per trend move means, so basically if it crosses the RSI on below 25 one time, and then the second time, and the third time, it usually means that the market price is moving on a downwards trend. So I will only take one trade per trend move. Okay, so say for example, if you miss the first one, the first RSI outside channel, you can take the second one. But however, if you did take the first RSI outside channel cross, do skip the second and the third, and you wait for the RSI to go back all the way up to above 75 before you take the next trade. So the reason being is the most of the time when we take a trade, when the RSI goes like the first, the second and the third, the reaction or the settings would typically do pretty much a same direction. So that means we are pretty much increasing our trading size for this particular trend move. So I would prefer to stick to one trade per trend move, so in order to control our risk. Okay, so the fourth thing that I would avoid is to avoid trading when we see a series of dojis or a very tiny candle forming in a line in a very tiny horizontal channel. So this means that the market is the lack of movement, and it's very hard for us to trade a direction if the market is not moving at all. Say for example, if there's a series of dojis, we can actually place a call trade which we hope for the price to go up, but however the movement is so little that we pretty much stuck within the small horizontal channel, and we'll be stuck in a very 50-50 zone because there's no momentum pushing the trade towards upwards to actually win a call trade. So this is also true for a staircase movement kind of price movement. So if we see a series of dojis and then a sudden large candle downwards or upwards, it usually will cause a staircase type movement like this. So usually there is it is very tough to predict when this large candle will form, so we will usually react only when one large candle is formed. So what usually happen is if we put a trade right after the large candle is formed, we will be stuck in the next series of dojis, so it will cause us to be in another 50-50 very narrow win situation. So we would tend to avoid that. So if we zoom out the charts, let's say usually to identify whether the market has enough movement, you just zoom out your 1 minute candlestick chart to a 4 hours worth of one minute candlestick, and then you can actually see intuitively whether the market movement is enough for us to actually trade our 7-minute options using using the Binbot Pro trading software. All right. The last tip to actually is very useful for beginner is to not trade the Binbot Pro. If you are noticing a ATR, the average true range line, which is parallel to one of the colored lines. So let's say the blue, red, yellow and purple. So if the ATR is very parallel, or in a sense that it is super close or lingering very close to one of the colored lines, so usually I judge the ATR behavior within the past 10 minutes. So if the past 10 minutes the ATR managed to move to one zone to another, we would actually judge based on that whether it is holding, decreasing or increasing. So what happens if the ATR is parallel to one of the colored lines? So that means within the 10 minutes the ATR will pretty much fluctuate from one zone to another like too many times within the 10 minutes. So I would avoid trading if the ATR behave in such a way, because it is going to cause a lot of confusion whether it is increasing or decreasing in terms of the ATR colored zones. So if I see a ATR is parallel to one of the colored lines, I would definitely skip the trade and wait for another clear retreat for me to take. Alright, so these are a couple of useful tips, especially when I was a beginner using the Binbot Pro trading software. Okay, so do enjoy the next segment of the video. I've actually attached a couple of trade samples for you guys to watch to actually notice what I look for within the charts, and what is the trigger, and when do I turn on the robot for one trade. Alright, so please do enjoy the next segment of the video.